The first time it happened, it felt like a punch to the chest. I stepped out onto the cracked concrete walkway of my small apartment complex in Cedar Falls, Iowa, just as the sun was sliding down behind the maple trees, and there she was across the parking lot, frozen mid-step, looking straight at me. My heart reacted before my mind could. My chest tightened, my breath shortened, and instinctively I turned my head away as if the ground had suddenly become fascinating. Avoiding her had become a reflex, not out of cruelty, but survival. Some wounds don't bleed on the outside, they ache quietly every time you see the person who unknowingly holds the knife. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us we're never as alone as we think. My name is Thomas Reed, and at 38, my life had settled into a rhythm of careful loneliness. I worked as a night shift maintenance supervisor at a regional hospital in Minnesota, close enough to Iowa that the commute felt familiar. I fixed broken lights, leaking pipes, and stubborn doors, all problems with clear solutions. Human pain was different. After my wife Rebecca passed away 3 years earlier from an aggressive illness that gave us no mercy, I learned how to shrink my world. I spoke less, I slept lighter, I avoided anything that reminded me of the future we never got. Grief didn't arrive loudly, it settled in like dust, coating everything slowly. That was around the time Sarah moved in next door. She was in her early 30s, with chestnut hair usually tied back in a loose knot, and eyes that carried an unsettling warmth. She smiled at people easily, the kind of person who remembered names and asked follow-up questions. From the first week, she tried to be neighborly. She watered plants for the elderly couple, downstairs, helped a single mom carry groceries, and once left a handwritten note on my door apologizing for noise she never even made. That kindness was exactly why I began avoiding her. It reminded me too much of Rebecca. Every time I saw Sarah laughing with someone or sitting on the steps reading in the afternoon light, something inside me cracked open. She didn't look like my wife, but the way she noticed people, the way she moved through the world gently, hurt more than any photograph ever could. Looking at her made the past feel dangerously close, like reaching for a flame you know will burn you. So I adjusted my life around her existence. I left earlier for work. I came home later. I took the long way around the building. When I heard her door open, I found something urgent on my phone. Avoidance became my armor, even though it made me look cold, distant, maybe even rude. I hated that, but I hated the pain more. Life, however, has a way of forcing confrontation. One evening, during an unexpected Midwest thunderstorm, the power went out across the complex. The hallways fell into darkness, and the old generator sputtered uselessly. I was halfway up the stairs when I felt a presence behind me. Sarah had followed, concerned about the elderly tenants. The emergency lights flickered just enough to reveal her face, serious and searching. That was when she finally confronted me, asking why I kept avoiding her, her voice steady but clearly hurt. The words spilled out of me before I could stop them. I told her that looking at her hurt, not because of anything she had done, but because she reminded me of something I lost and never learned how to live without. The silence that followed felt endless. I expected confusion or offense. Instead, I saw understanding soften her features. From that night on, something shifted. She didn't push for friendship or explanations. She simply adjusted, too. She greeted me with a nod instead of a wave. She gave me space, while somehow still being present. Over time, that quiet respect chipped away at my defenses. We began exchanging small, safe moments. A shared laugh when the elevator broke again. A cup of coffee left outside my door during a brutal winter week. No expectations, no pressure. Slowly, the ache of looking at her changed. It didn't disappear, but it transformed. It became less about loss and more about possibility. I learned that Sarah carried her own grief. She had lost her younger brother Michael in a car accident years earlier, and kindness was how she kept his memory alive. We never sat down for dramatic confessions. Our stories unfolded naturally, like chapters read out of order but still meaningful. One spring afternoon, after months of careful connection, we volunteered together at a local food bank in Waterloo. Working side by side, sorting donations and listening to other people's stories, I felt something unfamiliar but welcome. Peace. Not the kind that erases pain, but the kind that makes room for it without letting it dominate. Sarah didn't replace Rebecca. She didn't erase my past. She simply showed me that loving again didn't mean forgetting. The biggest challenge wasn't falling for Sarah, it was forgiving myself for surviving. For a long time I believed that moving forward was a betrayal, but watching Sarah live with openness despite her own scars taught me otherwise. Healing wasn't disloyalty. It was honor. Near the end of summer, as cicadas filled the warm evenings, I realized I no longer avoided her gaze. Looking at her still stirred memories, but they no longer stabbed, they rested. I could hold them and still breathe. We weren't rushing toward labels or promises. We were simply choosing to show up, one ordinary day at a time. If this story is touching your heart, if it reminds you of someone you've been avoiding or a pain you've been carrying quietly, please take a moment now to like the video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps stories like this reach people who might need them most. Before the ending, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below with the word hope if you believe that even broken hearts can find light again. Today I still live in the same apartment complex. The walls haven't changed, and neither has the parking lot. But I have. Avoidance once felt like protection, now connection feels like courage. Sometimes looking at someone hurts not because they cause pain, but because they remind us of our capacity to feel deeply, and that, I've learned, is not a weakness. It's proof that we are still alive, still capable of love, and still worthy of second chances.